Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist. I've just watched Alex O'Connor talking with William Lane Craig, mainly about the resurrection. So I'd just like to say, did not think that Alex did a good job with this one. Excuse me, I've got COVID. I've had it for 3 days. Hopefully it will pass soon. But the show goes on. I'll continue to make videos, ill or not. So I did not think he did a good job. I thought he let Craig get away with way too much, far too many assumptions, and I just thought the whole thing was a fiasco, frankly, which favoured Christian apologetics, which really disappointed me, because if Alex is not going to adequately deal with apologetics positions, then I wonder what the use of him is. I appreciate he's got a big Christian fan base, and he's got to keep his viewing figures up because that's where he gets his main income from. But still, I thought it was a very, very poor job that he did. So he also mentioned this this dream that he had where he was on an airplane and he said a prayer. He said a prayer to God, you know. So the Lord's Prayer, I think, a very personal appeal to be saved, which I don't personally draw any significance from. I've done all sorts of weird things in dreams. I mean, if I saw myself in a dream getting down on my knees in a church, yeah, I mean, I do all sorts of absurd things in dreams, so it doesn't really, you know, it's of no significance whatsoever. But obviously a lot of Christians will be saying, this is God trying to tell you something, Alex. Well, who knows? A lot of people have said that of all the counter-apologists out there, Alex is the one most likely to convert to Christianity. And after watching this video, frankly, it wouldn't mind me. It wouldn't surprise me if he does. Yeah, he didn't do well with this one, and I mean, he was even gushing praise on Dr. Craig at the end, saying that his arguments were very convincing and powerful. If that's the case, I wonder why he doesn't convert to Christianity if he finds the case for the resurrection so powerful. But let's go ahead and my take on the conversation. So essentially, Dr. Craig was arguing, as he has done before, that through utility, when you encounter a proposition which could benefit you substantially, you should lower the bar for belief. So you should believe on lower criteria, less convincing criteria of evidence than you normally would for other less useful beliefs. Nevertheless, when he comes to discussing the resurrection, he presents a case, or at least he pretends to present a case which he believes is extremely convincing. And it's just unfortunate that the way that he presented it and the way that Alex occasionally added points was completely ineffective in terms of rebutting what really Dr. Craig had got to say. Craig did most of the talking, and his justification for believing that in the resurrection can be boiled down as follows: that given the facts, which, as he says, all New Testament scholars, virtually all New Testament scholars are agreed upon. Yeah, of course. Who would study the New Testament except Christians? Who would have any interest except for occasional scholars like Bart Ehrman and Roger Carrier? As far as I know, 99% of scholars out there are Christians, and they're coming to the New Testament with a different pair of glasses than those who are not Christians. In other words, accepting that God already exists, that the Gospels, are virtually historically accurate, etc. So we have to bear that in mind when Craig is saying, all scholars are agreed upon this. It's not controversial at all. Yeah, he's talking about New Testament scholarship, and it's occupied predominantly by Christian believers. So to me, that holds no weight at all. For me, and I think for a lot of academics, The Gospels are theological texts intended to convert people. They're not historically. They can't be considered historically accurate. That's not to say that there are no accurate historical details in there, but when we're talking about empty tombs, sightings of Jesus after the resurrection, etc., none of that can be considered reliable. So Craig considers that given the so-called facts, if you accept that the gospel accounts are accurate, the resurrection is the most reasonable explanation. I would still say that even if there was an empty tomb, even if there were sightings, even if there were martyrs, etc., I would still say that a supernatural, fantastic explanation like that is the least likely, far less likely than any purely naturalistic explanation. That's my view. Craig said that for God, resurrections would just be like minor party tricks. Well, yeah, that's true. If there is a God, then truly the God can do miracles and he can do resurrections at will. I agree with that, but it begs the question, is there a God? Craig asserts that the apostles and those who died early on for their beliefs were not predisposed to believe in a resurrection, that it's something that they could not have believed in unless it had actually happened. Is that really the case? What evidence has he got for that? He did not really present any evidence. We've got in the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew 17:22-23, Jesus said to his apostles, "The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise." There's also Mark 9:30-32. So according to the Gospels, Jesus actually warned his apostles in advance that this would happen, according to the story. So I wonder how it follows. Craig says they were predisposed not to believe such a thing. As Jews, they could not have believed that Jesus would be resurrected. I don't know what evidence he's got for that. If any of you know of any evidence, could you let me know what that is? What's he basing that on? He also, as I've heard many Christians say, that the apostles and others, on threat of death, insisted that Jesus had been resurrected, and that they died for this, and that they could not have died for something they were predisposed to believe, that they were not predisposed to believe. I'm wondering what evidence he's got that these outside of Christian writings, that anybody died at all on threat of death, that Jesus was resurrected. I've gone to have a look at early Christian martyrs. So we've got Stephen, Acts 7:54-60, who apparently was stoned. It looks to me like he upset some people with what he was saying, and he was simply stoned. That's a report in Acts 7:54-60. And then we've got James, son of Zebedee, Acts 12:1-2. Outside of Christian writings, there's not really... Okay, James, brother of Jesus, Josephus mentioned in AD 94 that he was put to death. And then we've got Simon Peter. This is a report in AD 200. Tertullian. So I can't really see much there. I can't really see where Craig's getting this from. We've got Pliny the Younger. Christians keep harping on about Pliny the Younger. He contacted the emperor and asked how to deal with Christians. That was something like AD 100 and something, way after the death of Jesus. And obviously anybody that he was putting to death at the time, who would not recant, could not possibly have seen Jesus resurrected, because they would have been like 80, 90 years old, and obviously in those days people didn't really live that long. So I don't know where Craig's getting his information from, unless he's just it's just some kind of fantasy academia that he's dreamed up. So, but just coming back to Alex O'Connor, I'm very disappointed. The last few, since he deconverted from veganism, he's been doing these podcasts, and I'm beginning to wonder of what use is he at all in counter-apologetics if he's not going to properly challenge people and just let them use his popularity as a platform for all these absurd claims. He's got, going through the comments, a lot of Christian fanboys there, I can see, cheering him on. Dare I say it, he's trying to keep hold of his viewer base, because obviously that's how he's earning money these days, which is fair enough, but I'm losing interest in him unless he's going to properly address and honestly address a lot of the points and be a proper counter-apologist, which he's not really doing at the moment. So I'm very disappointed. I'm not saying that I could do better, of course, off the cuff or anything like that, but that's not the business that I'm in. So, well, that's all for now. Let me know. Did you see it? Well, what did you think of it? I was disappointed. I'm looking forward to Paul Alogia. I can't pronounce it. You know who I mean. He usually comments whenever Dr. Craig is on. He usually comes on with something very good. I'm looking forward to his take on it. So that's about it for now. I look forward to your response to this video. Hopefully with this COVID thing, I've had it for 3 days now. I'm starting to feel a bit better. I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.